We're just calling the meeting to an order. Ethics reminder: in accordance with State Governance Ethics Act, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest, appearance of conflict. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from January 11th, 2024?
So moved.
And any opposed? And then did we have public comment? Yeah, great, you're next.
Okay. Thanks for public comment available. So I'll read this. My name is George Scott. Here with three hats on. One is a resident of the Swannoa community, father of two now adult children who were both homeschooled, taking full advantage of the multitude of offerings provided by the Swannoa Library collection program. And they turned out pretty well. I'm also here representing two Swannoa-based all-volunteer nonprofit organizations. I serve as the chair of the Friends of the Swannoa Library, and I serve as the treasurer for the Swannoa Community Council. These organizations and myself are appreciative of the commissioner's leadership, deciding at the commission meeting on March 7th, any library services in Swannoa location and operation until a thoughtful, transparent, and all plan for the future to be determined. Our Swannoa-based organizations are also very engaged and excited to be an important part of this process for building on and enhancing library services for the people of Swannoa and Swannoa going forward. We look forward to this board being very involved in the process and hope that the advisory board will be supportive of furthering library services within the Swannoa community.
Thank you. Yeah, sure.
You guys, you need to stand out there. You're welcome to anyway. Okay, so I'm Carol Brogan. We also have several hats on that you can see that invisible hats. I am a 25-year resident of Swannoa. I'm also vice chair of the Friends of Swannoa Library, and I'm on the board of Friends and Neighbors of Swannoa, which is another all volunteer organization, organizations. Friends of the Library, and the Swannoa Council and fans who are closely together with different projects in the community. I don't have any prepared remarks, but I'm just going to speak from the heart. The announcement that the county made that it was going to close the library came as a tremendous shock to us. It was very upsetting to all of us who love the library, but and worked so hard to keep the library going all these years. And we were very surprised, I guess, that the decision was made. Any engagement at all with the stakeholders, members of the community, and I think probably without engagement with, like for example, the library advisory board, though we don't really know if that's true or not, but it came out of the blue and very unexpected. That being said, very showed up, turned up, stood up to talk about how much the library meant to our community, how important it was to have library services in Swannoa, being an already underserved where the services were admittedly inadequate. So we were grateful the commissioners heard and responded by giving us some additional runway to begin hopefully turning this process around so it goes from a totally untransparent process to a totally transparent process where we can begin working collaboratively with the county. We hope with the library advisory board, though we don't know exactly what your role is, in all of this. We hope that you will stay engaged and advocate on, for this to be done in a very open way that will hopefully result in positive result for the people of Swannanoa. So we look forward. The community's ready. We're at the gate and we are ready to start this process of trying to assist in whatever way we can to reach the goal of having enhanced and improved library services in Swannanoa for the people of
Is there anything else specific before we move on and say a review?
Typically, the board does not respond to comments. It's just a listening session.
All right, so then we're gonna move on to Anchor Handler Library Introduction. Great.
Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming out to the Handler Library. Normally the branch manager would do this part, but branch manager Erin Purcell's is in class tonight. So she passed along some fun and I think really cool updates about Handler. They are really committed to serving their community here. And I think you'll be able to tell that from a little bit of what I have to share here. The first item from Lincoln Handler is that they are going to begin having a social worker from Our Voice on site once a month for regular office hours on the second Wednesday of each month. That started this Wednesday, and it's immediately after their bilingual story time. The social worker's name is Betsy Chavez, and she is fluent in English and Spanish. She's here to share information and resources to anyone who might need it about sexual assault and domestic violence. They decided that this was a worthwhile offering to do here at Lincoln Handler because the statistics for sexual violence in this area are very high. They're testing the waters right now, starting with once a month. They hope to make hours more regular thing, a more frequent thing if doing it once a month doesn't fully serve the needs. So we're excited about that. The library in general has also been working closely with Our Voice as well as Helpmate, some initiatives and some staff training. So this is a great progression of that. Next is an item that I'm kind of partial to. They are starting a new reading initiative called Reading Mentors, and the men part of mentors is capitalized. The idea is to have male role models in the community reading and demonstrating that reading is an important part of life. Data shows that having active male role models in children's lives can help break down stereotypical gender biases and lead to higher gender equality and empowerment. In this initiative, they're encouraging men from the local community to celebrate the fact that men love to read too. They've invited men with different professions from all over Buncombe County to share in the joy of reading with young patrons. They're going to start with me. I don't know how they picked me, but they're starting with me at the May 4th, 10:30 a.m. story time. They've also got commitments from firefighters, soccer players, soccer coach from Mars Hill University, sheriff's officers, priests, and a chef all signed up to volunteer. Erin asked that if you have any recommendations or you yourself would like to participate, please reach out to the staff here at you get to be the guest reader at story time. So I'm excited to be reading one of my favorite read alouds, which is Leonardo the Terrible Monster. It's my go-to when I used to be a children's librarian. So happy to share that with the community here. And you may have picked up on the fact that Lincoln Handler likes to do things kind of fun. They like to have some levity. And so this last one, keep that in mind. They are acknowledging springtime and new growth and celebrating their new youth services librarian. Her name is Kate Spratt. She started here a few months ago, but they wanted to introduce her to the community in a special way. So the branch manager asked her to think of her dream setup for story time and come up with an idea on how she might represent her personality so she can connect with the kids. She is from Arizona. She loves cacti. So she brainstormed a scene from her home state. The friends of the library here at Lincoln Handler sponsored a new rug and new storytime materials and some other fun items. And most importantly, they've had locally commissioned artists create a special storytime chair that Miss Kate will get to sit in during story time. They're having a big reveal of Miss Kate, the cactus librarian. Kate also happens to be bilingual. So they're doing that at her bilingual story time on May 1st. But since you all might miss it, to add an Oprah style moment of fun, please look under your chairs right now. And I'm serious, you can look under your chair and there is a picture of the cactus chair that will be here for Miss Kate to sit in. Isn't that super cool? They come to Miss Kate's story time, they will remember this. The lady sat in the cactus chair. Super cool stuff. Very
That's the Kate who was the children's librarian.
Yes, and then she
Someone
was,
else.
yes, she was in our preschool outreach.
She's great.
She's fantastic. She's fantastic.
Is that it for?
That's it for welcome and highlights from Inca Candler Library.
Perfect. I'll see you again with directors. report.
Okay, I'll move right into that. I am gonna talk briefly about Swananoa Library. I don't want you to think that I'm skipping over that, but I'm gonna start with what's probably our most exciting program initiative that's upcoming. Heard me talk about it in past meetings, but we're really like, it's here, it's upon us. One book, one bunkum. I'll pass around some materials. So one book, one bunkum, just to recap, is a community-wide celebration of reading. The idea is to bring as many different people from different walks of life together at the libraries and at community locations to talk about and share experiences, all focused on the same book. The book is called The Violin Conspiracy. Angelica has a copy right there, so if you're curious. Giveaways are going on now at all of our locations. We've also added about 70 copies available in the library system and a bunch available electronically as well. So trying to make it widely accessible. We had a few goals in selecting the author, but we wanted someone that had a North Carolina connection. Ideally, we wanted someone whose work spoke to underrepresented voices. And we wanted something that would allow people to connect in lots of different ways. So The Violin Conspiracy really ticked all the boxes for that. The author, Brendan Slocum, is from North Carolina. He's a graduate of UNC Greensboro, now lives in the Washington, D.C. area, where he is a violin teacher. He'll be coming for the big event on April 27th at Tech. It's free and open to the public, so join us. And in the months leading up to that, there are all kinds of events going on in libraries, parks and rec facilities, and some other community agencies. So I'll pass this around. The colorful flyer here has a listing of those events. The other thing, April 27th. At 2 p.m. So he'll be doing a talk and book signing. The other thing that I'll pass around, we wanted to have a meaningful discussion guide, some questions that were developed in tandem with the Office of Equity and Human Rights, because we don't just want these to be surface level discussion. So this discussion guide, we printed copies. They're available at all locations. We're providing these to all of the libraries, branch book clubs. All of the book clubs across Buncombe County affiliated with our system are doing The Violin Conspiracy as so this will give you an idea of what those questions are like. You know, they're just a jumping off point for discussions. But we were really pleased how this came together. We built it into our budget request for fiscal year 25, as well as built into that budget request that it would be true partnership on board with Office of Equity and Human Rights, so that we can really kind of bake this into our county's operations as an annual thing. So I'm hopeful that that gets approved. We really like to continue, and we'll start talking about potential authors next year soon, because we have to start super. Any questions about one book, one bunkum? I hope you'll join us. Yes, yes. So there are some read-alikes in there for other ages. We started with just an adult author this year. Past library systems are at work that community reads. As the program has grown, we were able to expand and have young adult author and a children's author. So it's our hope that this program will grow and we'll be able to have multiple authors together. But the activities are definitely not limited to just adult book clubs. We've got violin demonstrations, we've got readings in the park. We've got a local violin maker, Black who's gonna come and talk about crafting violins out of local wood. So we really reached all out to explore all the ways that we can connect with this story. You know, arts and culture are so important here in Buckingham County that this title really felt like. Anybody here read it? Ruth has read it. It's a quick read, right? It's a page turn. Keeps you guessing.
You could. Enjoy.
Since I mentioned our budget request, I'll tell you a little more about that. So I've done all 3 rounds of the budget presentation to county leadership. The library's budget request is primarily focused on staffing so that we can enact the next phase of our multi-year staffing. That is intended to eliminate the need for library substitutes. It's a plan that was already developed and in place a couple years before I got here. So I kind of inherited it and it was already written. The request right now is for 7 additional staff members to support that. And then I've also got some additional requests in to support some of our other departments. We have been told that, as always, they've received way more position requests than they'll be able to fund. I'm optimistic that we'll get some of what we asked for. That's par for the course every year. We have to adjust our expectations. In the discretionary side of things, I've requested additional funding for library programs to increase the budget for One Book, One Buckle next year. I've also requested some additional funding for professional development so that we can continue to do our annual staff development day. We've also had more people than ever make requests to attend professional development that involves travel. That's really comes back to COVID. So with that. Next up, I have a little bit of information to share with you about where things stand with the Swannanoa Library situation. So as you know, at last week's county commission meeting, commissioners directed county staff to maintain current operations while we look for a location for a new Swannanoa Library. Just spent some time on the phone with George this week, talking a little bit about next steps, and to be totally candid, those are still being worked on. So I don't have a timeline. I don't have any super specific details, except that the county will focus its efforts on that US 70 corridor. We're looking for something, in size and operational capacity that would serve Swannanoa area. It's not intended to be this has been a question. It's not intended to be the combined Swannanoa Black Mountain Regional Library that was floated as part of the facilities plan. So that's also been a question. Has that plan resumed? It's not. So this is its own thing. I'm confident that we'll continue to work closely with Swannanoa Community Council because the lease expires at the end of June. Not having a timeline, we'll obviously need to have some type of extension to the lease. Continue to operate. There will be public engagement in this process, so we know that there are multiple stakeholders and community groups who are invested in the community and invested in services. The county commissioners and so to look at our options, what would best serve that area. Sure that multiple stakeholders to the table. I'm hopeful that in the coming weeks, there will be some discussion of timelines, perhaps criteria, those types of things. If I had more of those details, I would share them with you right now. But all I know is be looking for an existing facility that's available for lease at USF.
It's least.
It's leased from the Swananoa community.
So they have the decision that it's going to be to source. Is there any conversation, square foot?
There's been a little bit of conversation about square footage. I was asked to refer to the North Carolina Public Library standards, which outline recommended per capita square footage for service area. So if we're looking at a location that is intended to serve Swananoa area, not population larger than 25,000, the state library standards identify 3 different tiers there. They range between 0.7 to 0.8 square foot per capita. Accounting for a little bit of growth and some padding, that's going to put us somewhere in the 4,000, 5,000 would be great, but somewhere in the 4,000 range.
You know what population? That's what we had.
For that area.
Yeah.
Right now I have a census estimate. Specific.
Yeah,
It's up to that standard is up to population service area 24,990. It's like the state service.
yeah.
You know, it's not a hard and fast rule, it's just something to shoot for.
Interesting. Okay. I've been looking. So I should.
Yeah, please do. And this is, again, I want to stress, like, just early initial conversations. Any other questions on that?
I felt like I got that email that they were closing and I felt like I missed something. And was, where did that decision? Or did I actually?
You didn't miss it. No. Yeah, it was an operational decision made by county manager. Correct.
And at this point, is there anything the board can do to help with
I'm sure as we start to line up what the engagement looks like, that there will be opportunities for workers to be involved. I think that'll be important.
I think this would be an appropriate time for me to make announcements, make something clear, based on the questions and comments I've seen. I represent the county. There may come a time when your interests are at odds with. I can let you know what you can do. I can even assist you in drafting resolutions. I can't assist you in taking a position that is contrary to the county. If there were ever be something that was so contentious, and it doesn't look like it's heading in that direction, but if something were to get so contentious that you felt you needed to take a stand, you would have to seek counsel for the board. So I just want to be clear that if at any time you request something, I may not be able to with it. It's not that I am disagree with you or agree with you. I just cannot take a position. I can't assist anybody in taking a position contrary to. So, but other than that, I do want to continue to be helpful.
We sent letters of recommendation to the commission without benefit councils.
And, oh, you're always welcome to do that. I just didn't want you to think that I could
Right.
help file a lawsuit or do something like that on behalf of the board. because I am not your lawyer, I am lawyer. But certainly all of that thing, public input.
Move on to our next item, just to let you know that the library staff development day is April 18th. So all public libraries will be closed that day. Our entire staff will be over at the NC Arboretum for a day of training, professional development, togetherness. Sort of thing. So last year we had the first staff development day in over a decade. It was very well received. Staff were super quick to say they would do, so that's something that we're looking to. It's part of the reason I requested increased professional development in my budgets.
Who does that include? The managers all the way down to
It's every,
pages?
well, if we still had pages, yeah,
Yes.
they would be, so,
I couldn't think of the
yeah,
right word.
so, yes, it's everybody,
Awesome.
it's compensated time, so everybody is on the clock for that. It's optional for our library substitutes. We are sensitive to the fact that the subs are being sunset. We didn't want them to feel like they were required to come to something that might be kind of uncomfortable. But we also have subs who are happy to be there, looking to transition into regular employment with us as opportunities arise, which has happened for a number of them already. So it should be a great day. Opportunities for staff from across the system to interact, may not normally have. You know, at a busy branch, a library assistant can be, it can be very difficult to engage in, or even just a chance to talk and connect with staff in the location. So that's the thing that I think is needs.
Are you having programs, speakers?
Yes, we are. We're having someone from our voice come talk about social work and mental health. And that in the community, we're having breakout sessions. There's a session book repair. There is a self-care session, breath work. There is a session being led by staff from Arboretum. It's a session. This was a request that came up after last year. There's a request for everybody who's a library assistant to have the opportunity to gather and talk about things specific to their assistant job. They wanted some Q&A time with me, so we're going to do that. We'll also have some trivia and ice cream sandwiches and some other things mixed into the day to keep it fed. And then I conclude the day by sharing highlights and shout outs for staff. So people have an opportunity. They can send items, kudos in advance. They also have blocks that can put stuff in. So that was really cool way to, I think so last year, for items for the box and shouting out. Because there is a lot of great stuff that goes on every day in our libraries. Honestly, it has felt lately like it's just been one piece of unhappy news after another with a lot of different things. So staff day would be a good reminder to me and to all of our staff that we still need to stop. So speaking of great stuff, this one's not going to sound super exciting, but it is important. We are in the midst of a door counter replacement project with all of our libraries. So an accurate door count is something that we're required to report to the state library as part of our annual statistical report. And we're in the process now of evaluating vendors. The door counter systems have gotten super advanced since some of our branches last had them installed. It's no longer just about tripping a beam of light. Now they're overhead and they can detect height and tell if you're coming in with a child or you're coming in with somebody in a stroller. If you make a U-turn and go right back out the door, if you come in and don't immediately exit versus if you do turn right around. So it can give some really interesting breakdowns. We looked at one the other day too that can overlay weather patterns and tell you how traffic at your libraries is impacted by weather. just as a value added feature. So that does not for us. Our,
count the average.
no, our state aid is based on
That's, it's, will there be equipment and everything?
yes, the library. So as we talk about in future fiscal years, expanding library service hours, getting back to days, this type of software, depending on which one we go with, which hardware as well, can give us a really detailed breakdown. When are you busiest? What hours of the day are you seeing the most traffic? Does it make sense for locations to be open to 8? Make more sense if some locations open at 9 AM. We can do some really in-depth analysis.
Do they also include security?
The scope of this project is not. So we're not. So door counters, they should be fairly unobtrusive. Once they're installed, they'll be mounted over the main entrance. Smaller than a router. The last thing I want to share, this is also super exciting and I gave you copies, but is anybody a subscriber to Our State Magazine? I am, sort of, I got my new issue today, and also today I got an email from the branch manager there, Melissa Presley. It surprised me because I got an email from her last month as well, so for the past 2 months, there's been a highlight about the Black Mountain Library and Friends and their activities. So in this month's issue, hot off the presses, there's a story in here. This is the one that says Finding Voice. It's about the Dark City Poets Anthology. That is a group that initially met Black Mountain Library. Lisa's mentioned in there. Friends of the Black Mountain Library funded the publishing of an anthology. So there's some cool information there about that. And then in last month's issue, they did a feature about the Grove Trout at Lake Tomahawk. That is one of the story walks where you can make the loop from the lake, and as you go, you can see spread from the book, go all the way around, you'll read the entire book. Lisa and the friends worked really closely on that, and in addition to the pages from the book, there are also different community diversity activities. It's a cool, family-friendly, engaging thing. Just delighted to get some coverage about that in Our State Magazine. So, yeah, super. That's everything from there.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna talk about the requests for materials reconsideration. There was 2 books and 1 movie. So we're gonna start with Godly Events. And Jason, you said we talk about why this one.
Yes, and actually, oh, Ruth has a copy right there. So, yeah, in a nutshell, the request for reconsideration about Godly Heathens is related to LGBTQ content. So what brought the resource to the attention of the patron? I'm just gonna read this person's responses. It's perverted material, sexual material targeted toward young children. Have you read, examined the resource? Do I need to? I saw enough perversion in the excerpt. Is there anything worthwhile in the material? Absolutely not. Are there resources you suggest to provide additional information or viewpoints on this topic? If you do research on these types of usage in sexual morality, you will see that many of those that go down that path mentally ill or regret it later in life. Have you read the material selection policy of the library, including the Library Bill of Rights, freedom to read statements? No, for the question, is self-determining included? And then the comments on the back are, this material is not appropriate for school-age children. They're promoting LGBTQ agendas that are nonsense and should not be available to children no matter what the age. You are introducing perverted ideas and ways of life that are unnatural and go directly against our creator. 2 boys kissing is not good for children. You all should be ashamed of yourself for doing this to kids. It is disgusting. I will go to the board and be heard that if this trash continues, then we need to remove your funding. This is not what my money and tax dollars should be supporting. That is actually for Fire from the Sky and Godly. For both of those two. They put this together,
Okay.
yeah. And noted many more books as well.
But it did,
Correct.
Is it really targeted towards kids? There's
It's
suggested
such
material in
young
there.
Yeah, they're both in young adult.
Yeah, 3 circulations of 5 copies. For Godly Heathens, 1 circulation, total copies 4.
So- Yeah, they're relatively new books. Unlike the person who submitted the request, we do have staff members who have read the items. Staff who are youth services specialists. In both cases, they've noted that the items received different awards or were selected for best of lists in 2023. The recommendation of the library's internal collection development team is that these items remain in the catalog. The collection is kept.
We're open for discussion, if anyone has any thoughts or questions.
I'd like to make a motion. That this board for staff.
All in favor? So all in favor? Any opposed?
Yes.
For both of them?
I will prepare a resolution by the chair.
Thank you.
Addresses your motion.
Thank you.
So is there any evidence they found anywhere saying that it was targeted towards kids or it was specifically mentioned in there for school age children?
I
I mean,
think it's
that's-
just because it's marked young adults.
So then, is it
On-
the young
on
adult,
the
the assumption is it's targeted towards kids? There's no factual proof. That's what we're
I
saying.
didn't see that. I didn't see any of that from the notes here from the
Well,
collection of team.
so
I assumed that.
both of them.
I assumed that they were using the word kids.
That's
to mean teenagers.
That's what I assumed, just because it's on the young adult shelf. All right, so then the other one we needed to talk about was a movie, The Adventures of Milo and Otis.
Okay. I'm gonna try. So Adventures of Milo and Otis, this live action film. What brought this resource to your attention? My son is conflicted about returning the DVD without calling the attention of the children's librarian. Have you read or examined the entire resource? My son watched the film with my sister and his aunt. All viewers were disturbed by images. There are additional notes on that. What concerns about the resource? Exposing children to repeated scenarios of animals in peril. Is there anything worthwhile in the material? If there was, it was overshadowed by being upset, so our verdict is no. What resources do you suggest? When asked, my sister said some online sources seemed more legitimate. They have reviewed the library's Bill of Rights and freedom to read statements, so here's the additional information. Did not watch the film out of a high level of concern regarding what my sister perceived as potential animal torture. Do not integrate such imagery well due to some personal sensitivities. Thanks for your understanding. I'm sorry to base this request on family hearsay, but I couldn't bring myself to watch what sounds unnecessarily. There are scenes of fighting animals falling off cliffs. Family members found it hard to believe that animals were not harmed and possibly killed during the making of the movie. My sister Googled the film after viewing, discovered that there's controversy regarding potential cruelty. Our request is for review of material, consideration of the G rating, whether that reflects the values of Buncombe County, the NC Cardinal Library System, to decide whether to support general viewership of innocent animals clearly subjected to perilous situations for the sake of entertainment. Realized sensibilities have changed since the making of the film in 1989.
Yeah, so. I think we have the date published, 1986.
It was over 4 years.
Okay.
It was over 4 years. Elsewhere.
And the collection development team did talk about the G rating, but that's not given by the libraries. So that's nothing that the libraries changed.
It is one of the top 10 movies with allegations of
Mhm.
animal cruelty. But I didn't see them reading the reviews. It was not what was displayed, but what they know happened. There were some animals killed.
Oh, you mean like really in the making?
In the
of
making.
movie? Oh,
There were some accidents. And that's why we have things that in ASPCA, fights. And you made a good point about it's a very different time in this movie. We have been hurt in that's supposed to be the most violent movie for animals. The number of horses that were killed in the chariots. So, I mean, if we're gonna take this off, then Ben Hur has to go. If that's the logic. I did some research, but we use it a lot. And so I suppose one end felt like a cliff, but not one animal who experienced everything. See.
The research that I did on it, just pulled it up just to make sure I was quoting it right, is that the reports of animal cruelty in real life. I'm unable to provide. So whether it's someone on the internet 10 years ago started saying it, it's just sort of boiled over, or if it's actually leaked from people who were filming, or they haven't been able to verify this further.
So. There was no, it's not fact that injuries occurred.
The alarming part of it, look at movies made, PETA groups like that going to say, no, my animals are. In this particular film, I actually have it. I saw it as a child. I didn't see it disturbing as a child. As an adult, there are some instances where you just say, wow. But the quote in there, the animals used were filmed under strict supervision with the utmost concern for their end. So it doesn't dismiss that there were animals harmed or killed. It was over a 4-year span. It was filmed in Japan. From what I researched on it, Columbia Pictures picked it up because they had great ratings and ended up marketing to the children. It wasn't intended for it when they did it in Japan. And Columbia picked it up. They wanted to cater towards the kids. So they cut out scenes. What I understand, there are 70 hours of film that Columbia Pictures picked up and they edited some scenes. So there were some more violent scenes that happened in there from the original film in Japan. So there's a lot more to it with the animal cruelty aspect of it. So what was taken out, I mean, there are 18 animal trainers that were used on the Japan basis. Columbia Pictures, they don't want to really talk about what really happened. They know something happened. But it's looking at it as an adult and trying to explain it to kids who can actually understand and see things. The cliff incident, that was a long draw. The snake incident, the bear, the way that they cut away from some of the scenes, the way editing was done, and how films were made in the 80s versus how they're made now. It's pretty controversial.
So they were, they think it wasn't
you know. The technology that now use, you don't know if things are real or not real.
Right, it was, I mean, it was actual animals. I mean, they said that they had trainers around, the way that they shot it, the river scene, how they were with the rapids in the boxes. There's no way you can control everything that happened. From their accounts, I mean, these are just numbers thrown out, nothing factual, but there was an estimate of about 30 cats used out of the 30 survived. So, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of controversy out there. When it's said in there, they were under strict supervision, but there's no guarantee that the animals weren't harmed or killed. That's a long way.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I saw it as a kid. I have a daughter. I would not have her watch this movie, but I think that I mean, we kind of see that in all of these is anyone is free to select the material that they get, and also they're responsible for the material that their children get. And I think that's what we see in every one of these things from the collection development team.
Is there, obviously, we don't change the rating or something, but is, you know, like parental. I mean, even though it's rated G, maybe we wouldn't be worded like that, but depicts
I have a suggestion for that.
harm or something.
I use Common Sense Media.
I do too all the time.
Is there,
All of our.
is there like signage with kids stuff? Kids books, kids videos where parents know, I can look it up on Common Sense Media.
It's not signage, it's.
It would be problematic, I think, to put something on warnings and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we know very subjective.
The Picture Association really goes after people. Do that kind of stuff.
Common Sense rated it. I'm sorry, 5 out of 5 stars and for age 5 plus.
I actually checked Common Sense. That was one of the first places
Yeah.
I looked on this to look for what, like, if they had any note about that. They do not. as far
I'm
as I know.
very surprised by that.
Cause that's, I had never heard about this either, and unverified, but it's definitely still a question. I was surprised. So
Yeah,
I will say, I think putting some sort of label or that can be a.
I think that's very
Ways to look.
subjective for whoever's placing the label.
Mhm.
But I mean, I guess ultimately we have to come to a vote. And what's noted here by the collection development team is that G rating doesn't come from the libraries. And everyone is free to select or reject materials for themselves or their children. So do we have a motion to, I guess.
Are you doing all three together or?
This is just the movie. We've done the 2 books. This is just the movie. So the collection team says that their recommendation is to retain them.
It's
Yep, in the collection and to retain the film in the CF category, shelved with the other children's films. So do we have a motion to support their consensus?
So moved.
All in favor?
What was the motion?
That we're gonna support the collection team's consensus of keeping it where it is and retaining it. Okay, so all in favor, yes. Any opposed? Opposed, 2 opposed? Okay, we have 2 opposed.
It might be useful though, to put some signage up near the children's DVDs about place to check.
Yeah,
Be helpful.
maybe with a QR code or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a basic. Print it out.
It's a good resource for parents in general.
Yeah, usually it is.
So that could be,
It
yeah.
usually is.
So generally a good resource for parents, just to like be able to check things. That could be a suggestion. just
Yeah.
have that, hey,
That's a really.
do you want more information about what you're picking? Check Common Sense Media, there may be other.
I'm sure there's, yeah, just a reminder for them to do their own research.
Cause that's, and I am questionable about sporting, it does feel iffy, but in the end, it is up to parents to decide,
Yeah.
and that is why I support
Yes.
their choice. And then anything we can suggest to help them
Yeah,
make the best
that's what I
decision
think.
for themselves.
Is that a possibility? Like something like have a little,
And that,
Our youth services.
and that avoids labeling things specifically, it's just the.
Exactly.
In general,
Yes.
in general.
Information you.
Education.
Yes.
It's already a resource recommended globally.
Yeah,
Sounds to me like a lot of the concern is kind of the story you're making. The only
Yeah.
common sense is just looking at
the
the film and saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think that their complaint was about the password. It sounded like it was just what they watched. Okay. So those were the only requests. So now we're moving to old business.
I do have something to mention, so. There are 3 seats on the board that roll off before our next meeting. I had a message from Stacy Woody that if you are interested in reappointment, please let us know.
Do we know which 3 seats?
I mean, I think I have it.
Last time, actually.
Did we figure out the district thing?
Okay.
That's the other part.
Okay.
It's harder than you thought, but it's doable. So we can't just amend the bylaws by we, I mean you. The board of commissioners actually has to pass a resolution changing the makeup of the board. So if that's something you'd like to pursue. I can certainly draft a resolution to that effect. And it would make everybody would be at large. So there would not be any district requirements, if that's what you'd like. So think about that, and you can add that to old business, and you can discuss it amongst yourselves at some point, and you can take a vote on how you'd like that, and I can draft a resolution, and Jason and I to the board sooner than later, that would be.
Yeah.
I'm, John,
Yeah.
I'm adding to the problem. Because, area, need to be close to my sons. As I age, and my husband and I, we feel the need to do that. And we'll be leaving, in late spring. And I forgot what my term is, but over a year. Sorry.
So then will that make 4 then, for seats, or were you in?
No.
That'll be 4 seats. I know last time we discussed possibly not making it district specific to encourage more people to join, because we have frequently had the issue where we have people applying and it always happens to be the wrong district that we need almost every time.
We have to keep down
Yes,
really well qualified people
because
if they don't do the right.
yeah. Yeah, so. I mean, if that's something that we want to do, it sounds like it just has to be drafted. And then taken to the commissioners.
It's a surprisingly complicated procedure. So once the resolution is drafted, then I have to go to a briefing meeting, so I have to brief them, and then it goes on to a regular commissioners meeting. So it's a little, it could take a while, but
Yeah,
certainly
like how long?
at least a month, because there's 2 weeks in between. But certainly it's something to be done before the next meeting.
Okay.
But
Which is when we'll need to be voting people in, right?
Right.
Okay. So probably best if we can make a motion. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Request change your bylaws to make all members at large.
Yeah, all in favor? Any opposed? Perfect. Thank you. I'm sure that's a lot of work for you.
It's not too bad. That's why I'm here.
Was there any other old business? Okay, new business.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
In my old memory, did we elect a chair? I don't think we should do.
Right now, we want to do that right now.
Well,
Let's decide. Yeah, is that, would that be old business or is that new business? No, that's, yeah, so for new business, yes. My term is up, I am not reapplying. So we do need someone as chair. And as chair, you will also be on the trust fund board. And they meet as a whole once a quarter. I have since learned that you will also be on a subcommittee that meets more than that. They're a very active board. They're not showing up and just kind of talking a little bit. Like every subcommittee is actually doing action plans and then coming in and then all bringing it together and discussing what everyone's doing. So currently I'm on sort of like the governance board. We're the ones coming up with like our policies and procedures. There's like people in finance and we're trying to build sort of like a marketing subcommittee. It's more work than I thought it would be. And I just want to be transparent because I didn't have that information going into it. So keep that in mind.
It's chair for 1 year.
That's a good question. Is the chair position 1 year?
our chair,
Yeah, kind of be the same person. Is there any rule against it on the same person?
if you don't,
No, I'm not real.
No, and that's,
Yeah,
that's fine. I was just trying to get.
Oh, yeah.
When does it, when it start?
Then next, like this is my last today. Cause my term ends before, I know, I just did this. So, yeah, it just happened to be that. So the next meeting would be run by the new chair. Yeah, and I would say, in my personal opinion, this is the easy one to do. The trust fund board, which I thought would be as easy as this, wasn't, just because they meet a lot more frequently in your, at least the subcommittee I'm in. I guess I can't speak for the other subcommittees. But the trust fund board's been doing a lot of work on going back and looking at how they've been doing things. They're trying to build a mission statement, a vision statement. They want to get a website. They want to put in policies. So it's like when someone comes to us for a grant, how do we decide if we're going to grant that or not? Like they don't really have all of that in place. But at the same time, they're trying to also handle the things that they have now. So they're kind of like backpedaling a little bit right now in my.
they had criteria, the grades.
They have criteria for the grants they have right now, but the board is a little split on how they should handle things moving forward, which I think is the issue. So right now they're looking at bringing a third party in, maybe the community foundation, to help kind of lead discussions rather than one of us from the policy making part of the team leading it, because then it might feel biased. So they're interviewing some people right now to come in and sit with the whole group to try to get everybody on the same page. So,
Is there an in-person?
So far, the ones I have been to, yes. There's been, in my subcommittee, we mostly meet in person. We've met virtually once. But in the subcommittee, it's just me, Kay and Linda. So we get to just say, hey, do you want to meet at this library on this day? And it gets to be whenever we want. It's more the quarterly meetings that are set. So who wants the job?
This is normally something I would be interested in. However, I am. And several people already know this, I am considering running for school board in July. Since I have left public education and I have a background in public education, but I don't work for them anymore. I'm now allowed to do that. with those. So normally I would be interested in this, but I want to use my background for that right now. No, thank you.
Justice?
I have the time.
I will tell you,
Love
Kay
the
and Linda
conversation.
are pulling for you. They suggested you.
I'll do it.
Their nomination.
Yes, I nominate Justice.
Second, or?
You don't have to say if there are any other nominations. You like
So-
to?
Yeah, all in favor for Justice becoming chair?
Thank you.
Let me know those.
Thank you, just-
Do you have any other new business?
Did,
The vice chair. Speaks vice chair.
You know, we need advice.
Yeah, that's true. We do need a vice chair now.
The question to-
No.
Okay.
No. I don't want to downplay what Justice has done, but I don't think you've had to do anything so far for vice chair.
Unless she was just showing up, I didn't have to do much of anything with what I'm doing.
I think it's more just like the backup for Ben.
But you're. You know,
Look,
my fellow colleagues.
Yeah, I nominate
nominate
Ann.
Leanne Smith to be.
All right, all in favor for Leanne to be vice chair? Anybody opposed?
Or so full. Did you all, you got a copy of that?
Yes.
yes,
Yeah. I saw it today in the New York. Numbers are sound. The jump from. They doubled the number of. Titles were targeted for removal, have doubled last year. This is an organized effort nationwide on the part of certain people and I think we can look for this to continue to increase. Because conservative groups as here have really.
Y'all are probably already familiar with in.org, inamerica.org. They do wonderful advocacy for the students and access to people, and they it's the word groups that are standing up against some of these challenges, and Representative Taxon.
The American Library Association has a lot of materials about the right. The right place.
Thank you.
Do we have anything else we need to discuss?
I apologize, everyone. I have a real estate agent.
Do we have a motion to adjourn? Great. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Great. Thank you guys.